20 years ago, there was a very popular book by author Robert Fulghum called All I Really Need to Know I Learned in Kindergarten. And as we all know, most of the popular kindergarten games, the most popular was musical chairs. Now, politics is a lot like musical chairs. The music starts playing when one incumbent decides to retire or seek other office. And the primary day is the first time the music stops and everyone is scrambling for a seat. In the 6th Congressional District, when incumbent Congressman David Trone announced that he was running for the vacated U.S. Senate seat, there was a mad scramble in both parties to get in on the game. Carey, for months now, we've been watching with keen interest the Democratic primary in CD6, where 17 candidates entered the race, but it quickly narrowed down to a contest between April McLean Delaney, spouse of the former Congressman John Delaney, and Delegate Joel Vogel. Tell us about this race.
Well, it's very interesting, and I was a little bit surprised that David Trone didn't win myself. I spoke to many people, and they indicated that, hey, he's got the money, and fighting, if you're going to bring him against Hogan, or whoever goes against Hogan, it's going to require some money in the coming election. But one thing that people never realize, it's not just money; it's endorsements.
Well, before we get to the Senate race, let's talk about the race for to fill his vacancy.
Okay,
between April McLean Delaney and Joe Vogel. I mean, Joe Vogel did a great job attacking her from the left. And what happened in that race?
Well, I mean, $2 million, $1 million came from her own pocket. That's pretty hefty in a race like this. Not to mention name recognition. You've got your husband that had 6 years in the same seat, and remember, April Delaney is a former Biden administration. She was a director of Common Sense Media, which essentially protects children from online predators, online events, online things. She's a philanthropist. I think the combination coming together really helped her out, to be quite honest with you.
Well, so, here's the interesting thing. I was looking at the statistics last night on the voting results. Mrs. Delaney only received 39% of the entire Democratic vote. And, because of the attacks from the left, is the party going to coalesce behind her in November?
That's a tough one. The fact of the matter is about 8% of the population voted in this election. It was a very low turnout. I mean, in the presidential race, we saw 10% of that voted uncommitted. We're in a difficult time right now. I mean, people are disenchanted with a lot of things that are going on. I do believe they will. I mean, remember, who's the Republican candidate for president? It's Trump. So Democrats will coalesce around any Democratic candidate that's put up. But it's going to be interesting. I want to see how many people actually show up in the general election. This is I've never seen an election this low.
Yeah, it was a weird election cycle. I mean, even when you went to the polls, the number of enthusiasm looked very low. Laurie, on the Republican ticket, there were just 7 candidates, all of whom were pretty darn good. I have to admit, I met all 7 of them, with former delegate Neil Parrott and Dan Cox as the leading contenders, with a strong 3rd place finish from Dr. Morella Roca. Tell us about this race, how it shaped up.
Yes, well, Neil Parrott joined in the race the last minute on the day of the deadline date for filing. So that really changed the race a lot. Tom Royals had a lot of support. He had raised a lot of money compared to everyone else, but wow, he only got 4% of the vote. Maybe he did not focus outside of Montgomery County. I'm not real sure how he did so badly. Dan Cox got 30% of the vote. Of course, he ran for governor and has name recognition. But Neil Parrott, he really deserved to win. This is his 3rd time running, and if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have a chance. The Republicans, there are now more Republicans in this District 6, and that's a lot of it is because of him, because he and Judicial Watch filed a lawsuit, and that helped to create the, you know, the new boundaries.
We got about a minute left, and this is an important question for you. There were roughly 36,000 Democratic votes cast in this primary election, while there were 42,000 Republican votes in their respective primary. So are you poised as the Republican Party to pick up this seat in November?
You know, I was surprised, really surprised to see that more Republicans voted than Democrats.
That never happens. That never happens in Maryland.
District 6 was energized, not so much in Montgomery County because there were more Democrats that voted in Montgomery County. But, you know, I think that there is a really strong chance that Neil Parrott can win in Congress. So let's hope for that.
All right. So, Carey, just an exit question for you. Will the attacks by Vogel from the left help Mrs. Delaney in November?
I don't think so. No, I think that Vogel's going to coalesce around Delaney. I think the party's going to come together, and it depends on a lot of things. The factors revolving around.
Yes or no, Carey? Come on, I don't want the what ifs. We got to go to break.
No.
Okay.